You have to leave. You have to live.
You bastard! Yeah!
Ollie? Ollie? So then, what is this ragtag group of misfits I see before me? Avalanche!
Local florist.
Lab rat dog.
Final Fantasy has been hit or miss over the last 2 decades, with Final Fantasy X in my opinion being the last overwhelmingly liked mainline Final Fantasy, because certain parts of the fandom dislikes everything between 11 and 15 for various reasons. Whether it's a brand new genre, they don't like the combat system, or just dislike very specific things. However, among the various games that make up the Final Fantasy franchise, Final Fantasy VII has remained popular even though it has taken some missteps with things like Advent Children and Dirge of Cerberus over the years. And just like many other games, Final Fantasy VII is getting its own remake. However, due to the sheer scale of Final Fantasy VII, it would be extremely difficult to remake the game in one project with the amount of voice acting, variety of locations, and the number of enemies, on top of how much progress is being made with technology like ray tracing, Unreal Engine 5, and other things we're not even aware of at this moment that could lead to the game being outdated when it releases, leading to Final Fantasy VII Remake not being a full game, but it still being an absolutely amazing one. So starting with the gameplay, Final Fantasy VII Remake completely revamps the combat with a brand new real-time action system that brings back the ATB system from older games in the series, and it allows characters to do up to 3 actions in a row with the right conditions. I like to call this system a hybrid action system, due to the system balancing a menu that allows characters to use many different abilities, magic, and items while allowing us to have full control over our characters' moves, combos, and skills, leading to the best example of incorporating an active menu with action combat. The main goal of all of these actions is to build up the stagger meter that first appeared in Final Fantasy XIII. Once you fill up this meter, it will increase the damage you dish out on top of staggering the enemy anytime you hit them during that vulnerable phase. However, Final Fantasy VII Remake has given this system a complete overhaul, with many enemies having their own conditions to be staggered, such as getting hit with a specific attack, getting hit in a certain area, or countering one of their moves, instantly staggering them, forcing the players to use all of their abilities and keeping the combat fresh without us even noticing it. But the only way to activate most of these abilities is to use the materia system, which allows you to equip specific skills onto your weapons and armor. Each piece of materia also changes each character's stats, allowing for even deeper customization. So with the more materia you equip, the better your stats will be. But there are limited slots for each character, making you think about how you want to spread out abilities across your party, possibly making Cloud an all-rounder, Barret a tank, Tifa your primary damage dealer, and Aerith your mage, or just doing whatever you want because that's how flexible the materia system is. In addition to every character having a unique skill that can either change their playstyle, fill their ATB meter very quickly, or drastically increase the stagger meter, with 9 summons that you can get throughout the game. Whether you're facing a boss in a one-on-one sword fight or facing a very unique enemy that make you use a certain attack, it becomes very easy to see how this game can keep you on your toes for 40+ hours. I could talk about the combat for the rest of this video, but there are many other great things in this game, so let's get into the visuals and environment, with character models and a setting like the city of Midgar. With the seedy underground of Wall Market, the organized chaos of Sector 7, the hypocritical nature of the Shinra building, in addition to so many other places giving a reason to stop and look around. However, another thing Final Fantasy VII Remake shares with Final Fantasy XIII is that it's a very linear game, and it has been criticized for that fact. Having said that, this game takes place entirely within the walls of Midgar, which is a very cramped and crowded place. The most iconic part of the city is that it has 2 layers, where the poor have to look up at a metal plate blocking their view of the sky, and those who are better off live on top of the metal plate, leading to a suffocating atmosphere. But Square Enix has learned their lesson by giving players points to stop and do whatever they want before continuing the main journey, and adding chapter select to replace certain parts of the story, leading to an overall better reception of how the game was constructed, on top of building the bigger world our beloved characters will explore in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And sticking with our characters, one of the things I wanted to point out beyond their updated looks is their facial expression. I'm not the most technically knowledgeable person when it comes to 3D animation, but it's not hard to see how much work was put into these characters emoting down to the smallest details, with very few games being able to compare, like God of War Ragnarok and Last of Us Part 1 for example. So a quick summary of the story is that you play as Cloud, an enhanced super soldier who joins an eco-terrorist group called Avalanche. The group is fighting against the Shinra Electric Power Company, a corporation that runs the world and has a monopoly on Mako energy. And Mako is the planet's life energy, meaning that Shinra will eventually kill the planet if they aren't stopped. But along the way, our heroes get caught up in a battle against a much bigger threat than Shinra, Sephiroth, the strongest super soldier on the planet who wants to destroy the world and somehow knows the future. But our heroes manage to stop Sephiroth for the time being, while getting glimpses of the original Final Fantasy VII timeline and causing some ripple effects throughout the current timeline, eventually leaving Midgar hoping that they can create a better outcome than before. What I really enjoy about this story is that we're confused just like our characters, allowing us to feel closer to them, which some people are going to see as convoluted, but I see it as paying respect and replicating the feeling of the original Final Fantasy VII, with the various mysteries of the original Final Fantasy VII being a big part of the original game, with Cloud's past, Sephiroth's origins, and the Nibelheim incident leading to some of the most iconic moments in gaming. So to bring back that feeling of mystery and unease, the developers have to introduce new puzzles for us and our characters to resolve. But to make sure people follow this story to the end, the characters have to be amazing. This is one of the most beloved cast among the mainline Final Fantasy games, and while they're not all here yet, and one is introduced very late into the game, they make a very big impact for the first step of their long journey. Starting with Cloud, who is a very young man with the dream of being a hero, but has not seen much success in finding what he's looking for. He's now working as a mercenary, doing odd jobs and taking on missions that he doesn't really care about just to keep himself busy. His quiet demeanor hides his true feelings underneath as he tries to present himself as someone he's not. Then there's Barrett, who is the leader of Avalanche. Barrett is a very tough man with a lot of pride and determination who doesn't like being told what to do or how to think. He has strong morals and values that he wears on his sleeve, which makes him a standout from the other characters in Final Fantasy VII. However, he does have a soft-spoken side that only comes out around his daughter Marlene and when empathizing with the people around him, making him a very nuanced character before leaving Midgar. Next is Tifa, who is a member of Avalanche and Cloud's childhood friend from his hometown of Nibelheim. She is a very cheerful and caring person who takes care of everyone around her, to fill the hole in her heart about her traumatic past, leading to a great contrast between her, Barrett, and Cloud, showing how trauma shapes the people we are. And speaking of trauma, let's get into the last character I want to discuss, Aerith. She is a flower girl who tries to help anyone she can in the slums, but she also has a darker side, as shown when you find out that she was kidnapped in her childhood by Shinra and experimented on because she is the last ancient, meaning that she is one of the last descendants of the original people of the planet, making her live her life as if her days are numbered. All of these characters have flaws that will be tackled and addressed, getting you excited to see the growth through their journey journey and how they face similar situations after confronting their flaws. That will lead to some of the most emotional moments in the Final Fantasy series. So while Final Fantasy VII Remake isn't a full game, it's still absolutely amazing. And if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, and support my Patreon if you enjoy my content. Also, if you want to see another video essay, that's on screen right now.